Once upon a time, in the days when the black man was nothing more than an object of slavery, when the slavers' ships thronged the shores of the sub-Saharan Africa, a 12-year-old boy, fated to change the course of history and Africa's understanding of the Christian religion, was taken slave. Captured by Fulani slave raiders and sold off to the Portuguese, cargoed alongside many other young able-bodied Africans and bound for the unknown. His name was Ajayi. Born to peasant parents in the remote village of Oshogun in present-day Iseyin, Oyo State, Nigeria in 1809, at a time when there was great unrest and insecurity across the region, the great Oyo Empire was disintegrating, with the Fulani raiders tormenting most of the region, kidnapping, destroying everything in their path. Ajayi perhaps never thought he was made for great things. And now, he found himself bound in shackles and headed for an unknown future. His fate was sealed. His life was over. As their fated journey progressed, the British anti-slavery ships patrolled the Atlantic Ocean. 2 years before Ajayi was born, in 1807, the British, by Act of Parliament, had abolished slave trade in all British Empire and started moves to discourage other European countries from the act. The British made efforts to discourage the trade across the Atlantic. And so it happened that a Portuguese slaver's ship was spotted by the British, intercepted by the Royal Navy, and led to Freetown Harbor, now known as Sierra Leone, and there its human cargo set free. As the slaves, including Ajayi, stepped out of the ship into this strange new land, Ajayi knew his life was bound for something unprecedented. He felt the hand of God in all of this. Otherwise, how could he have been saved from certain doom? Only the unseen maker and protector could have saved them from the brutish existence that awaited them across the Atlantic. While in Sierra Leone, Ajayi converted to Christianity, and on the 11th of December 1825, he got baptized into the faith, taking on the name of eminent English clergy Samuel Crowther. He learned English language and got deeply involved in church activities at the Church Mission Society CMS, but never lost his Yorubaness. He spoke his language intimately and upheld the culture of his ancestry. By 1826, he went to England to study at St. Mary's Church, Islington. A year later, he returned to Freetown to continue his education in the newly founded Furrow Bay College. At Furrow Bay College, Samuel Ajayi Crowther became engrossed with the study of languages, which saw him study Greek, Latin, and Temne. After his studies, he began a career as a mission teacher at the college. Ajayi Crowther married a fellow slave rescued alongside him, Hassana, who was baptized and renamed Asano Susan Thompson. Together, they had 5 children, one of which was Danderson, who went on to become the Archdeacon of the Niger Delta, while his daughter, Abigail, was mother of Nigeria's nationalist Herbert Macaulay. 30 years passed since the abolition of slave trade, and its scourge still lingered across the Atlantic. The British Crown will now join forces with the Church to finally put an end to this odious menace. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was enlisted as part of this mission known as the Niger Expedition. It was this mission that put paid to any doubt that this man, Crowther, was made for greatness. At the end of the Niger expedition, James Frederick Shawn, leader of the mission, wrote to England recommending Samuel Crowther for ordination based on how much impact he made on the expedition. 2 years later, in 1843, Samuel Ajayi Crowther returned from England a clergy. He, alongside Henry Townsend and C.A. Gomer, started the CMS Church in Abeokuta, Nigeria, where he was reunited with his mother and sister. They got converted afterwards. That same year, Ajayi began work on the Yoruba Bible, which became a standard for other African translations. That same year, he published a grammar book, a Yoruba version of the Anglican Book of Common Prayers, and later a vocabulary of the Yoruba language. In 1851, he met the Queen and government ministers in England and made the case for his Yoruba people and other black people, making an impeccable impression on the Queen. By 1854, he had begun work of planting mission churches along the Niger River, starting in Onitsha. His works in linguistics wasn't limited to Yoruba language. He also codified other languages, which included a primer for the Igbo language published in 1857. Around 1860, he got shipwrecked along the Niger and rescued by the Nupe people. In his usual fashion, Ajayi, stranded in Nupe land, turned the seemingly unfortunate situation around, and he began work on the Nupe language. And by the end of 1860, published a linguistic book on Nupe language and another in 1864 about Nupe grammar and vocabulary. In 1864, at the Canterbury Cathedral, Samuel Ajayi Crowther was consecrated the first black bishop by the Archbishop of Canterbury. That same year, he was awarded a doctorate of divinity by the University of Oxford. The bishop, Samuel Ajayi Crowther, went on to become the most influential black Christian of the 19th century. He built a truly African mission managed by Africans and spread the gospel as far as Morocco. Apart from the Yoruba Bible, he set the stage for the translation of the Bible into many other African languages and restored the pride and dignity of the African in the eyes of his former slavers. Ajayi Crowther was not just a Christian leader of repute among Christians. He is also credited for reaching out to Muslims and establishing an interfaith conversation in what is today known as Nigeria, earning the respect of imams and Islamic leaders alike. An indefatigable activist and campaigner for the emancipation of the black man, he introduced cotton trade as a viable business opportunity instead of slave trade and encouraged education and self-sustenance in local communities far and wide. Samuel Ajayi Crowther, teacher, linguist, clergy, restorer of hope and pride in being black. He died 31st December 1891, but his exploits live on even today. Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther, a great African